The economic fallout from the pandemic has been especially severe for bars and restaurants. At their best, they're destinations for community, culture, and local flavor. An important part of what makes living in the city desirable. But for many Black-owned establishments, there's the fear the shutdown will be permanent. That's why a group of owners have formed the Boston Black Hospitality Coalition and joined with the Boston NAACP in a call to action. To tell us about the effort is the owner of Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, Nia Grace. Thank you very much for being with us, Nia.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Nia, these are hard times, but how hard are they for you?
I would say that for everyone else as well, it's quite hard. The first thing that we, 60 days ago, over 60 days ago at this point, we experienced something very crushing in terms of having to close our doors for on-site consumption. That first already, eliminated about 90% of all of our income. After that, we also have to lay off over 90% of our workforce as well. That affected over 150 different family units throughout the city, and most of them who are people of color. As we continue to move forward, what we thought was maybe only a 28 to 30 day delay in terms of us opening back up for regular operation has long gone over. And we're looking at another maybe 15 to 30 days before we're actually able to do anything that resembles normalcy for our businesses. The phased plans that they're rolling out for us is kind of tough in trying to think about moving forward. So I think the hardest piece of it after that has really been the uncertainty and not being able to plan, and also not actually being able to see if your business is going to make it the next 30 days.
And from what we're reading or hearing, it seems that you could be operating on some kind of a lower gear for maybe another year or 2 years. I mean, can bars and restaurants handle that?
No bar or restaurant would be able to handle that at all. We're hardly able to handle it for the first 60 days. So to even imagine 3, 6, 9 months or a year, we're talking about extension for a lot of businesses. There are institutions who have been around for 20 plus years who have not been able to weather this first phase of the storm. There is no coming back from that. And I think that for us, businesses that are young, we have an older establishment, but I am a new owner. And as a new owner, I still have some extra overhead. And so on top of this, we're in a ship and we can see the hole, and we start to see this, the ship is starting to sink. That's where we are right now.
Well, part of what's at risk here is just another place that provides food and drink. But there's a history behind your establishment. Previous to Darryl Settles, it was Bob the Chef's.
Yes.
This is a landmark.
It is.
Tell us about that history.
63 years in the community, since 1957, starting off as Bob the Chef's. That was our gathering space. And when I talk about our space, I'm talking about people of color, Black folks who felt really comfortable being able to go out and dine with their families. That has been a part of the legacy in our community, where we haven't been able to have other traditional, let's say, meeting places, be it for business or personal gatherings. Institutions like Bob the Chef's and now Darryl's, Wally's Corner Bar, Sunny Walker's, which is now District 7. Those have been our makeshift spaces for everything that we need for our communities. And so when we think about those kind of losses between your graduation celebrations, between your fundraisers, as well as the businesses where they're planted, we are rooted and planted in our Roxbury neighborhoods and throughout the city. And so therefore we tend to be the tangible businesses that our community groups even reach out to work with one another. So we've always been more than just, say, a watering hole or a restaurant. We truly are a part of the community.
There's also a cultural angle here with performers, both at your establishment and at Wally's. That's still happening, isn't it? Before the shutdown, at least.
I was like, wait, is it where?
Yeah.
So Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, Wally's, as well as District 7, we all have entertainment licenses. We've all been employing our young up-and-coming musicians and some of our seasoned musicians from throughout the area for years. And that is a big piece of the culture that we have and that we like to promote. And that is something that is gone. And so when we think about our loss of, our workforce, when they're the ones who are the servers, except, but we're also talking about our musicians. Our musicians right now, they're out of work. And we have been, for 52 weeks out the year, we've been providing consistent work to them. And that is something that is also lost now.
What do you want the city and the state to do right now for establishments like yours?
I think that we want, well, I know for sure what we're looking for is some kind of concerted effort to understand that we are unique. There have been a lot of broad answers for small business community, and everyone doesn't necessarily have the same access to these answers. And do we qualify for that? And so what we're looking for our city and state officials to do is, in fact, survey us, talk to us, ask us, what it is, like you're doing right now. What do we need to survive? What do we think it's going to take? Show us a little bit of value, that we actually are of value for our community. And specifically, we're looking at our liquor license fees, right? What is going to be done for the 2 months already that we have not been able to allow consumption on premise? What are we going to be doing about those liquor license fees? We also want to know, for some of our venues who may not have, let's say, 2 a.m. closing times, what about extending that when we are able to get back on board, so that we are able to have that extra hour or 2 hours, depending on their closing time, to earn some more income. For some of our businesses who do not have full liquor licenses, we're looking for that concession as well. How will you assist in allowing that to happen? Something very novel for us in just terms of thinking about it is like neighborhood happy hours. It's going to be a while before people really want to go out to a lot of large spaces away from their homes. And it's going to be a return back to the neighborhood and to the community. And so what about that neighborhood happy hour for venues like under 200, for us to be able to have those specials and draw and attract people? And those are just small things, but some of us are also struggling with rents. Not everyone has a relationship with their landlord to be able to say, how can we negotiate? We have all gone to the table and tried to barter what we could do to move forward, and some are unmoving, and some might even be taking advantage of this time. And that's not okay. And so we're looking for our city and our state elected officials to help us kind of come up with some solutions that are, again, very specific to the population that we serve, and the uniqueness of the fact that out of over 1,200 liquor licenses in the city and establishments, there's only 8 Black-owned licenses. And so we really want to talk about that in a bigger picture later on. But right now, how do we preserve the 8 that we have?
One thing that was apparent even before the epidemic is that many of these Black establishments around the country were threatened by market forces. You mentioned the rents going up, people who want cultural tourism instead of a bar that's really their own community place. What about those threats? Are they still going to be there?
I think so. I mean, I talk about the investment that the city has done in certain neighborhoods. I think about the seaport when I think about these certain neighborhoods, and how much is going to beautify those areas and to make it really attractive and infuse capital and make it fair for the people who want to rent down there. And I think that rent or own down there. And I think that when we're talking about our community, like, we are, in fact, those cultural destinations as well. We have museums in our neighborhoods as well. Like you talked about, we have landmarks. Some people that, have won Grammys have played at our establishments, have dined at our establishments. And so we are just as important to the city's history as any other establishment or this cultural tourism. We are the culture here. And so that's important, and it shouldn't change. It just should really be focused on making sure that when we talk about it, there's equity in terms of what's getting passed around and what's getting supported and lifted up.